They're the heartbeat of Hampton Roads, our men and women in uniform, performing heroes work both in the homeland and overseas. But how much do you know about life as a Navy sailor? 10 on Your Side takes you on deck, as well as below and even underwater, for a special kind of Navy boot camp. Our Keagan Hughes takes on training and the rigors of the Navy, all to become sailor for a day.
Hi everyone, I'm Keagan Hughes. Thanks for joining us at this special look at the life in the Navy. This summer, photojournalist Wyatt Young and I got the opportunity to see what sailors went through on a daily basis. Our home ship, the USS George H.W. Bush, named for the 41st President of the United States and commissioned in 2009, it was the final Nimitz-class carriers for the Navy. We'll start off with a quick tour of the carrier and what it has to offer. We're more than 100 miles off the coast of Virginia. Now, currently I am on the fantail of the USS George H.W. Bush, and you can see that this is the farthest back that you can get on this aircraft carrier. Now, while we've been here, we've taken a tour of the whole entire aircraft carrier, and we're going to be able to show you right now what it looks like. Come on, let's take a look. Reaching more than 1,000 feet, the USS George H.W. Bush is a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier and the 10th and last Nimitz class in the Navy. Traveling through the waves in the Atlantic Ocean, this multi-leveled warship encapsulates its motto, freedom at work, and has every sailor on board training and assisting one another.
I work in the hangar bay, and we move aircraft, starting up from the flight deck, push it down here to the hangar bay.
4,000 sailors call this aircraft carrier home for days, weeks, and months at a time when deployed.
I wake up in the morning and I smell jet fuel. It's a thing. It's a real thing. It really is a real thing. And it's like, wait a minute, something's not right. I don't smell metal. I don't smell steel. It's like, oh yeah, you're home.
While 10 on Your Side was aboard, we saw sailors in different colored jerseys ensure order and safety, to down below in the anchor room, where one of the biggest anchors in the Navy,
60,000 pounds, Mark II stockless. That's the biggest anchor in the Navy, has the greatest holding power because of its large flukes. I wish I could show you, but that's on the outside of the ship.
Can't fly without supply, so you're gonna need us in some way, some form, even on shore duty when we're not, dealing with aircraft. You're gonna need supply some way, somehow, no matter how small, down to the toilet paper, or how big with the engines on the aircrafts. You're gonna need people to supply you, so that's what we're here for, that's what we do.
Commissioned in 2009, its mission is to deliver decisive combat capability across all domains. We got the opportunity to see it all. Looking out the windows of the bridge where people are able to steer the ship, sounds of jets landing and taking off over and over, and even watching the waves levels below.
Search and rescue or a man overboard or something like that, they're gonna drop this baby into the water and they're gonna go recover. Yep, so there's one house on each side of the ship, so we can make sure that we're readily available at any time.
An aircraft carrier supports and operates aircraft that engage in attacks on airborne, afloat, and ashore targets that threaten free use of sea, supporting the motto, freedom at work. Needless to say, one of the busiest and most dangerous parts of any aircraft carrier is where the jets come flying in, the flight deck. Now you're taking a look at the flight deck on the USS George H.W. Bush. Now when they are deployed, they can fit up to more than 50 aircrafts on this flight deck alone. Now right now there's more than 7 at this moment, and that's because a lot of the junior pilots are getting their reps in. They're learning how to train, whether that's learning how to be catapulted or getting caught by these wires, and it's a really cool sight to see. Living in Hampton Roads, you may be used to the sound of jet noise. But what about seeing them take off on an aircraft carrier? And what goes up must come down. And that's what a lot of these new pilots are doing. Taking off and landing over and over.
Newer pilots are going to come in and get their qualifications so they can go ahead and be able to perform better in their squadrons when they go on different missions.
And on the George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier, that sound was on repeat.
So the pilots right now, they're doing what's called carrier qualifications or CQs. So when the aircraft are coming in, for example, we just recovered an aircraft right now. We have the Joint Strike Fighter, the F-18s, different series of those here.
10 on Your Side was on the flight deck, feeling the heat from the blast, spotting jet steam as pilots get catapulted and smelling the tires after landing on the aircraft carrier.
We launch them, they go around, they come back, and they land, and we launch them again.
Watching the crews in different colored jerseys, making sure every jet gets up in the sky. Each color, blue, yellow, brown, and more, all have an important role.
You're going to see green jerseys. Green jerseys are catapult and arresting your crewmen. Okay, their job is to launch and recover aircraft. You're also going to see green for maintenance personnel for each squadron. Their job is they're mechanics, electricians.
Wearing 2 forms of protective hearing gear, sailors help reset the deck for another jet to get launched into the air. And the repetition goes on all day and even into the night until 2 a.m., with us hearing each jet getting launched into the sky and feeling the shakes each time it landed.
So when the pilots are coming in for their first couple times, it is unsettling because you got a moving platform and they got to figure out how to orientate themselves so they can go ahead and land correctly. And if they miss, and that's called a bolter, and they got to circle back around and do it again. So they get more comfortable with it.
Definitely a tricky landing on carriers, but also one of the coolest things to see. Obviously, before getting on a carrier, sailors must undergo training. During our time, we caught up with some trainees who, like myself, grew up in Hampton Roads and know the military life from a very young age.
In some ways, it's sort of the heartbeat of our community, and it's so wonderful being surrounded by so many people who have given so much for their country and in many ways continue to serve.
Lieutenant Commander Wallace is from Williamsburg. He has been teaching young sailors like Verdon at the Mariner Skills Training Center.
Being here my whole life, you know, you look out into the water, you see ships, you're like, okay, these are just ships, like they're probably just moving, just like how cars move.
Perspective-wise, you're taking a look at Naval Station Norfolk. Now, this room right here teaches hundreds of junior officers how to safely navigate a ship before they go out to sea.
There's a lot of assets here, something that when I was a kid I didn't see before, but we have aviation, submarines, special warfare, you name it, it's here in Norfolk.
As a Norfolk native, Verdon is just one of 800 students who will go through this building, spending hours learning through these simulators.
All engines ahead, standard, up to 15 knots. And then to learn like, oh, there actually are regulations, just like how cars move and stuff like that. That's the same way that ships move at sea. So it's really interesting to have that type of perspective and to get that type of education.
And these 757 sailors say every time they put on their uniform, it's more than just a day at work for them.
So I want to be able to, if I can, inspire others, even though you think that you're from this area, that you can't expand your horizons and go somewhere else, and then they eventually send you back here. It's not the end of the world. It's pretty much a blessing.
Returning to a place they call home, and even teaching other sailors from our area, Wallace says he now sees Hampton Roads in a new light.
And it's incredible being around that, and it's quite the inspiration for me to want to continue to serve and do right by those future officers so that they can lead their teams as they go over the horizon, potentially into harm's way.
Training for any situation in the Navy is not easy. After the break, I'll take a deep dive into what happens in a worst-case scenario with Navy jets. Then we'll go even deeper with a look at the life in the tight quarters of a submarine. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sailor for a Day. Launching and landing jets from a land or from a carrier can be tricky, but Navy pilots train for all sorts of situations, including possible mishaps. I did the same at the Aviation Survival Training Center in Norfolk.
Tell me what you just did.
Try to control myself. I got scared at one point. I had to remember that I'm okay.
Wearing a jumpsuit, helmet, and boots, 2 sizes too big, we jumped into a pool, getting hands-on training.
Take a deep breath, play forward.
The ASTC Norfolk plays an important role for sailors to be ready and stay prepared. These trainings show the unique challenges in modern naval aviation. We were submerged in those challenges, opening doors and swimming through them. The muscle memory needed includes holding your breath, twisting handles of doors, and finding points of contact, vital in potential flight emergencies.
We execute a lot of that training, hones our skills, keeps the pilots precise, and it keeps the crewmen precise on all their procedures.
The center's pool doesn't seem too out of the ordinary until you take a closer look. There you spot parts of a fake plane and mock ejection seats. In both situations, we were tasked with holding our breath and making sure we were able to swim out quickly. Dripping with water, it prepared us for the ride in the clouds on board a Seahawk helicopter. Doors wide open, we saw everything from the interstates to the bay with the training in the back of our mind.
I've seen my elementary school, middle school, and high school all from the air. It's so surreal, and it's an opportunity that I never take for granted.
Andrew Ellerman, a Navy pilot, says the feeling never gets old.
Anytime I get to fly over the oceanfront or fly by the oceanfront, Sandbridge, those are all beaches that I went to as a kid, and on 264, those are all, I've sat in traffic there many times.
After soaring over Hampton Roads, we stopped here in a field where we watched them practice 2 safety procedures just in case something like that would happen in real life.
With a crew of 4, a Seahawk's main function is anti-surface warfare, combat support, and humanitarian relief, which is why Ellerman says pilots always need to practice.
It's a overland search and rescue demonstration, so our crewmen in the back and our pilots train to that mission all the time.
Let's go even deeper into the water to a place few civilians get to see, the tight quarters of a submarine. Here's a look at life on the USS Pasadena. Stretching 360 feet long, this attack submarine has a crew of 16 officers and 127 enlisted men. And now it's a way for all submariners to train and learn from one another.
What gets me going to work every day is training and mentoring junior sailors, officers. I absolutely love that.
Commissioned in February 1989, the USS Pasadena has been in service for more than 36 years. The submarine's motto, anytime, anywhere, states the readiness of today's armed forces to fight anywhere in the world on short notice. And it's teaching its crews how to be ready. Sitting just above the water at Naval Station Norfolk, it's a tight fit inside, each submariner used to the lack of personal space while down below. The USS Pasadena is at the end of her service life, but Chief Craig Dunlap says her systems still work.
Because we have now a whole submarine that we can use to provide that training, it gives us a lot of opportunities to get better without having to necessarily go out to sea and do it.
And for many young submariners, it's their first time by themselves, and having a sea family makes the days below worth it.
Being away from family isn't as bad as it would be if you were somewhere else, because the people around you end up becoming your family. And there's a lot of experiences that you can't get anywhere else with submarines.
We got a tour of everything from the torpedo room.
26 torpedoes can fit into this room right here, but when they are fired off, they go through this tube right now, and it's more than 21 inches in diameter.
Mock launching one too. The United States has not launched a heavyweight torpedo in wartime since the end of the Second World War, according to Chief Torpedoman Dunlap.
Shooting tube 4, 3, 2, 1. Did I get it?
There it goes.
10 on your side saw their rooms where sailors have to pretzel their way in the small bunks.
Now these beds right here are 6 feet in length. Now this room will sleep 9 people. Now I'm 5'3", so I have a lot more extra headroom than the average person, but that's not always the case for people that lay their head here at night.
And the tight spaces, the men say, make tight relations with each other, encapsulating the anytime, anywhere motto.
Since you're a lot closer to everybody tries to help you out. So say you're struggling with getting qualified or you're struggling with this or that, if you just ask somebody and talk to them, usually they'll steer you in the right direction.
My grandfather served on a Navy submarine for nearly 30 years. So being able to check out the USS Pasadena was very special. Of course, the Navy isn't just about keeping the peace overseas. The Maritime Expeditionary Security Force also protects waters and ports in the homeland. Here's a look at how they train for real-life situations. In our ports and harbors, the MESF's job is to provide security for high-value assets. And the crew showed us what it would look like on a simulator.
If it's not realistic, if the weight's not right, or if you're not wearing your kit that you would actually be wearing on mission, then when you get out and are actually performing your duties, in hostile or a contested environment, you're not going to be as prepared as you need to be.
Putting a weighted tactical vest on, I stepped onto a fake boat in a dark room that uses lasers.
Hey, offset, depress.
We always want to train to the worst case scenario just in case something was to happen. So this is our opportunity to hone our skills, make mistakes, and improve our skills before we deploy.
Matthew Frick says all the weapons used weigh exactly what they would if he was deployed. He says you have to train how you would fight.
The only thing this could be different, it's a little bit less recoil than you would be actually firing those weapons.
And I was not very good. Not hitting a single target except one. Frick says the MESF bridges the gap between tradition Navy blue water operations and land forces by providing security in maritime environments and shallow waters.
That is our focus, is to deploy on board to provide them that 360-degree external security in the event of any hostile actions that's taken against it while we're supporting their mission.
Off the simulator boat and onto a real one. They took us for a quick ride in the calm waters.
We want to have the training scenarios and simulations as realistic as we possibly can in order to have that crossover between real world and training.
After learning how the maritime security protects high-value assets, we then met with Navy's Fire and Emergency Services, which protects one of the Navy's most important assets, their ships, from fire. Ranging from small to serious equipment fires, they respond to more than 150 calls a year.
Go!
We were challenged to suit up in the firefighter gear in 2 minutes or less, missing it by 1 second.
2 minutes!
In the full outfit that was a little too long on me, we cooled off by learning how to properly spray the hose. The Navy Fire and Emergency Services and Maritime Expeditionary Security Forces are 2 different ways sailors can protect our waterways. Much more ahead as we spend time with our local sailors. There's a job for everyone on a carrier. We'll take a look at some of the much needed services you'll find aboard coming up. And what's in a name? The face and special place behind the name of USS George H.W. Bush when we come back. We're back now with a job for everyone on an aircraft carrier. The sailors need to eat, and they need plenty of other things we all do every day. That includes a little entertainment as well. Thousands of sailors eat here aboard the USS George H.W. Bush. But behind the scenes, culinary specialists like Blaine Warner is cooking 5,000 to 10,000 pounds of food a day.
In total, we feed about, to include all the other galleys, I would say about around 4,000.
3 times a day.
3 times a day.
Cutting up fruit.
Ooh, cake!
To cakes and the sounds of chicken sizzling on the grill. Warner gave us a tour of the kitchen.
All the products that we make in there, we always put it out here on the line. We also have a secondary bar over there, which today is a potato bar. So regular potatoes, sweet potatoes, all that.
Other than a full cafeteria of sailors eating together, they say music brings people together.
But I didn't know how big of an impact and influence it has on the community. And being part of the band, we get to go and do all these ceremonies and do these outreach events.
Virginia Beach native Matthew Aiello says getting to play his flute in the Navy wasn't something he thought he would be able to do, but making it his career and sharing it throughout the world with the Navy Fleet Force Band is surreal.
It was really fun to share music to communities that might not get to see an American, much less an American musician.
Assisting sailors, that's what Chaplain Stephen Griffin says is one of the most important parts of his job as head of Department of Command Religious Ministries.
And I'm out here 24/7 just like the other sailors, as we're just caring for the crew, whether they're civilians that are embarked to provide some maintenance on the ship, or it's the 5,000 sailors that we're going to have embarked for deployment. We just care for them through counseling.
Whether it's on the aircraft carrier or on base, Griffin says his job is to try to keep sailors' mind, body, and souls healthy.
And then we provide confidential counseling, which is probably the biggest service that we provide that's unique to the Chaplain Corps, is a 100% confidential place to just bare your soul, to say, hey, this is what's going on back home.
For months, many sailors called this ship their home. James Clark is a barber on the USS George H.W. Bush.
When I was younger, I did want to be a barber, so I guess you could say, the plans were in motion, just without me knowing.
Now those plans allow him to meet almost everyone on the aircraft carrier.
Different people, different experiences, different jobs, different mindsets. It's very interesting.
So whether your tool in the Navy is electric razor, a flute, kitchen cutlery, or even your ear, each person's job is to help serve each other in order to serve our country. As we all know, each Navy ship's name comes from somewhere, including USS George H.W. Bush, named after our 41st president and a World War II veteran. President George Herbert Walker Bush was a Navy aviator. He was also commander-in-chief during the First Persian Gulf War. His legacy isn't just remembered through the ship's name. There's also a place on board that honors his life and time in the service. All aircraft carriers in the United States Navy have rooms specially dedicated to their namesake. It showcases memories and artifacts from the president's life, including when he enlisted in the Navy, becoming, at the time, the youngest naval aviator at 19 years old.
He ended up serving in World War II and flew over 53 successful combat missions during that time, which came to a close while flying over the island of Chichijima. In his TBF bomber, the Avenger, which we have over there.
Which is part of the reason the sailors on the ship called themselves the Avenger. He was shot down and had to eject from his aircraft. Decades later, after serving as president, the 10th and last Nimitz-class aircraft carrier was named after George H.W. Bush. It is naval tradition. The first commanding officer is always a naval aviator.
Because as a floating airport, a small floating city, we need an officer who is comfortable, confident, and capable of both being an officer to a command and an officer to a floating airport.
During construction, sections of the ship are built separately, then lowered together. The commanding officer will put their aviation wings underneath when the ship sections are lowered together. At the christening, George H.W. Bush was alive, and a piece of his career is part of the ship.
So we had the express honor of not only putting our first commanding officer's aviation wings, but also George H.W. Bush's, one of the first carriers to have their namesake alive and be a prior aviator.
Each part of the ship has a meaning, especially the ship's coat of arms, which honors the legacy of naval aviation.
The yellow aircraft is his TBF Avenger, which is seen as the past of naval aviation. In the black is an FA-18, which was at the time of christening the present. And at that same time, the red is an F-35, which was seen as the future of naval aviation.
41 stars representing him as the 41st president, and words that reference his inaugural speech.
Above, we know what works, freedom works, and below, we know what's right, freedom is right.
Including the blue and white lines as a symbol to the 1,000 points of light.
He talked about every single one of us can be a single point of light that shines and brightens the night sky.
Of course, we want to thank all the men and women who are part of these stories, and all the people in the military for their service. You can also see more of these stories on WAVY.com. For photojournalist Wyatt Young and all of us at 10 on Your Side, I'm Keagan Hughes. Thanks for watching.